Hello and welcome to Dan's PC Magic Presents. Today we're going to be looking at Keepass. Keepass is a database primarily, and that's what we are suggesting you use it for, a database to keep track of your passwords, accounts, account logons, things of that nature, people to talk to in the event you have been breached or hacked, and the things you need to do or should have done already to protect yourself in the event of an attack. It also will serve as a principal to-do list in the event you have an attack, so you can just run right down the list and say, well, I need to do this, 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 and this, call these people. And you, in the event your computer has gone down, you will have a hard copy that you can put in a file cabinet somewhere or put in a desk drawer away from the computer. And in the event you lose the computer, you still have access to your database. You still have access to your passwords, and you'll know which ones have two-factor authentication. The program can be intimidating. Don't be intimidated by it. It's only as complex as you make it. What we're going to examine is simply keeping a database and preparing it for future use where you become a little more comfortable with it and decide you want to try using it to automatically enter passwords and automatically open web pages for a given password. But these are things you don't need to know right now. I'll set you up so that you understand what needs to go where, and it'll give you some insight as to how it works. Again, it's only as complex as you choose to make it. So that having been said, let's move on. First thing you need to know how to do is to gain access to Keepass. The thing to do is open up Chrome. And I have been using this as a go-to for Keepass. It is basically keepass.info/download, and that will get you to this site. That's the one you're interested in right here. There's a duplicate to it over here, sort of. It does not install. It was meant to be used with a USB or flash drive. I suggest you stay away from that for now. You can go back to it later, but for right now, leave it alone. These two, this one, the download now that says Keepass 139, I don't know much about them except they are kind of a subset of what you get here. If you get this one, the one that says and now it says 2.47, in the future it could go 2.100 or 105 or something like that. This is the one I recommend you get. It installs. It's got all the features of this one, the Keepass 1.39. It has all those features plus more. But again, it's only as complex as you make it. So I suggest you download this. It'll take you to this screen. You have to wait 5 seconds for it to time out so you can get to read the advertisements about Malwarebytes and Pilot. And when this screen comes up, go ahead and save it. I suggest you remember where you saved it. Probably downloads would be a very good place to save it. So save it there. After it's downloaded, go ahead and open it up. You'll be presented with a number of screens. I'm sure you know how to install software. I'm not going to go through that again because it gets a little too involved. But at the end of all of this, you will then be presented with the requirement of a new master password, and you have to give this the database a name. I just called this one database. I think that is the default, and you have to give it a location. I suggest documents is a good place to save it because typically when anybody backs anything up, documents is the one thing you always back up. So leave it in documents, save it, and you're good to go. Here, you are presented with the requirement to present a password. Check this. Make sure this is not checked. Make sure this is also not checked. These options can only serve to get you into trouble. I like to consider myself as being a little more than a casual user. I will not use these. It's just asking for trouble. If this is unchecked, you might want to go in and make sure these are not. Aside from that, give it a master password. Password can be any length you want. Please do not use spaces. You can make it a passphrase if you want. There's a very simple passphrase. It says passphrases are easier to remember. Notice this bar has gone to green. That means it's a very safe, strong password. It may not fulfill the requirements of whatever website you're going to. It still means it's safe. They may ask you to add punctuation, as in an @ sign, or maybe you have to add a number or something like that. But for the most part, this is going to be a very, very safe password. And anytime this bar goes up into the green, you're in good shape. However, that having been said, I'm not creating a new database here, so we can skip that. What you need to remember here is do not ever lose this password. If you do, the entire database will be lost. If you have not printed a hard copy of the database, everything in it will have to be reproduced by hand from scratch. And in some cases, you may not have the notes. Take copious notes when you add entries, and you should be fine. I'm going to cancel this now, and we're going to go to a database I created sometime in the past. And the first thing I recommend you do is to create a new folder called Breach. It's a new group. And breach is what you will do in the event of a breach. We're going to take that, right-click on it, go to Rearrange, and send it to the top of the group. The reason we do that is because anything that appears in the first group will be printed on the first page. Also, any important passwords, well, they're all important. You should keep them or create them in this folder. And if they pertain to a network or internet or email or something like that, you can make copies of whatever's in here. I'll show you. And you can take the copy and put the copy where it goes. For example, let's say we have banking, First National Bank of Dan. We're going to make a copy of that. Duplicate entry. And this is where this gets kind of neat. If you check that box and then click OK, you'll notice the copy doesn't have the same username. It has a reference. But if we take that and put it into home banking, anytime you change the password here, it will automatically be changed here. Oh, I have two of them in there. How cute. Let's get rid of one. It will automatically be reflected here. So all you have to do is remember to change the password here first, if the password changes, when you change the password, and it will be changed everywhere else. Another thing to do is to keep the password for this database there as well. We're going to edit. Oh, by the way, you get to the screen, highlight that, right-click on it, go down to Edit Entry, and there you are. This is called, the password for this database is simply database. I did that not because it was secure, but because you would remember it, and it would be easy to demonstrate. But we save that, and if you change that password, well, this is the only place you should have this, this database. But it will show up when you print the list, and you can use that to open this in the event you ever forget the password or lose the password, what have you. The passwords here should be everything you need to address in the event of a breach. That might be eBay, it might be your credit card, it could be bank accounts, it could be trading accounts. E-Trade comes to mind, as does Charles Schwab. I'm sure there are others, it's just nothing comes to mind right now. You will need those. You'll need, if you have an Amazon account, you'd obviously want to check that and either eliminate all your credit cards on Amazon or just destroy the account. Again, you need to go back to your credit cards and tell them you've had a breach. But you're going to have in here a list of everything that needs to be done. The account notes, if you go to another way of editing this, double click on it, and this comes up. In your notes here, you can hold every kind of note you wish to have, including phone numbers, including people to talk to, the names of the people. If there's an emergency number for credit card breaches or fraud, you can have that in there. Take copious notes, take all kinds of notes, and put them in here. And once you save it and print it, they'll be there. But this all goes towards what you do in the event of an attack. The reason you're doing it now is because in the event of an attack, without this, you're going to be rummaging around through your office or through your desk looking for the passwords on little slips of paper that easily get lost. Some of you probably keep a notebook, maybe a composition notebook that has accounts and passwords and things like that in it. That's okay, except if you're keeping them on a line-by-line basis, eventually you run out of space and you can't change the passwords anymore. They should be changed periodically. A number of people in the security business are saying every 90 days. I'm not so sure that's effective, but it should be changed periodically. And when you do, that means you have to go in and edit that account. Wouldn't it be much easier to simply edit it here and be done with it? So yes, these are going to be the people that need to be contacted in the event you have a breach. And you can put names here, you can put multiple phone numbers, any kind of note that you feel would be necessary in the event you do have a breach. And trust me, if you do have a breach, your heart's going to be in your throat. That's not the time to be trying to think clearly. Now is the time to think clearly. Now is the time to put all that information in your notes, and you will have it there for as long as you keep the database up to date. And if you print a copy, easy to print a copy. Come back here. Print. It's simple, just print. I'm going to, well, this is this is basically what the printed document's going to look like. It shows you username and a decrypted password. It's kind of important here that we talk about that. You don't want your password to be decrypted on the computer. You want it to be secure, and it is. The only time it's decrypted is when you need to see it, or when you're transferring it to a program that requires it. The rest of the time it's encrypted. Well, we need to see it here so we can see what we're printing. Do you remember earlier I told you not to include spaces in passwords? There's a very good reason for that. If you come down here to this password here, it's a little difficult to tell if there's a space between the 3 and the P. And this is a legitimate password. I'm not using it for anything, but it could easily be used for eBay, for Amazon, for Walmart, for Walgreens, for CVS, whoever you happen to have an account with that requires a password. This type of password will not be found in any dictionary. No, it won't. And as far as passwords go, you need to choose something a little more secure than password, or password 123, or 123, or 123456, or your name, your dog's name, your cat's name, your date of birth, or your birth year. These are all things that the bad guys are going to look for right away. And programs can be written so that once they have that information, they can use it to check against your password to see if they can break in. Bad idea. A jumble of numbers and letters like this is much better. Difficult for you to remember. It's not as easy as this passphrase is easier to remember with underscores. It's not that easy, but by the same token, you're not trying to make it easy for yourself. You're trying to make it difficult for the bad guys. This will do it. This program will also allow you to copy that and paste it into a web page. So if you have to type it in, not a big deal. You don't have to type it in. Copy it and paste it. It's very simple. And as you can see, again, we have password 123. That was a bad choice. This is a much better choice here. But again, you need to copy and paste it. We have things here. Using call signs for a database. If you happen to have an amateur radio license, you'll recognize these. Those are bad things to use because once anybody knows your call sign or your habits, they'll be able to figure out an easy way to break in. Here, it shows you a reference here. That means email. That is found elsewhere. And if you go back up here, we're going to have whatever that was called. That was secure post office copy. So if we go up here to secure post office, there's the original and there's the password for it. First National Bank, same thing. We put that somewhere. It's in the recycle bin. By the way, if you delete something from the database, it goes into the recycle bin. If you decide that was a bad idea, you can undo that and put it back where it came from or drag it to wherever you want. In the interim, it usually gets excluded from, unless you specifically tell it to, it usually is excluded from searches. What else do you need to know? I know. Let's say you're looking for a specific, let's say you've got a boatload of passwords, as you should. You should have one different password for each account. Do not duplicate passwords anywhere. Very bad idea. But that means you're going to have a whole list of accounts here and you need to find them fast. What if you remember it is for something National Bank or some kind of national bank? You can hold down Control, press F, and let's say you want to find National, National. You're looking in title, URLs, that's the website, the address of the website. Username, probably not very useful. Notes, definitely. Tags, definitely. And this is all searching against the title, against National. And there you are. There's everything with National in it. First National Bank of Alice, First National Bank of Dan, National Bank of Dan, not the first. And of course the copy, but the copies, if you're looking for a password or notes, that's not the place to put it. Notes always go in the breach so that you can look at it and see what they say. First National Bank of Dan copy. That copy was made after this note was typed. I do not believe that changes to notes in the breach in the original will be reflected here. I may be wrong about that, but I wouldn't bank on it. No pun intended. And if you get into this a little bit further, you will find that if you hold down 3 keys, it will search, and 3 specific keys, it will search against the window title that we find here. This one says New Tab. If you go to Walmart, that will then say Walmart. If you go to the login, the sign in, it will say login. The problem with that is everybody and his brother is using the login title for that screen, so you may have to search for it manually. And if you do search for it manually, and we go to, do we have a Walmart? We have a Walmart there, and it says login, but you can, if you set this up properly, you'll have to go to Tools, Options, and Interface, Show Additional Autotype Menu Commands. That's key. What that means is you can, it needs to be checked. What it means is You can then go to Walmart, come back here, and since we found the Walmart, we can right click on that, perform auto type, type the username, and it will type the username. When you're done with that, you can come down here, and if it happens to be on a separate page, we can go back to Keepass and type the password, and it will do that for you. Great. Or if you want, you can get rid of that and get rid of that. We can go to Keepass and just tell it, since they're both on the same page, perform the auto type, and it will do everything for you. It'll even click on the login. So, what do you know? One password I have to change. Okay, so that having been said, you should be pretty well set up to start keeping your passwords in Keepass, and from there you need to print out a copy, a hard copy, and it should include this database, which is going to show you the password's name is database. That's something you really do need to do. At the very least, you should also print out key file backup. Oh no, key file emergency. There we go. Yes, we're going to print that to a PDF printer. Print. Yeah, I don't care. Document scratch, that's fine. We're going to save it there. This is what the emergency sheet looks like. It has got the path to the database, in case you forget that. You should write down here, in this area, you should write down your master password. You should regularly create a database. Yes, when you create database backups, you should write down their location here. This is where you write down the location of the master password. That should already be in the hard copy under this database, which makes this sheet kind of redundant, but that's okay. Redundant's not bad. In any case, you should be good to go. And stay tuned. We're going to have more updates as they come along. The next one we're going to be working on is things you do every day to keep yourself safe. And that will be what emails to open, which ones to ignore, which ones to call people on, that sort of thing. That's coming up in the near future. You take care. Have a good day.